Hi guys, James at RampantLionReviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to head to Poland once again and continue on with my Polish beer month that I'm filming for you across May 2016, and we've got a really quite interesting review I think today. This one is a very traditional style of Polish beer called the Grodziskie, or the Grätzer as it's also known in German. So for this one we're actually going to go to the town called Grodzisk where the beer style originates, and we're going to visit Browar v Grodzisku Wielkopolski, I think it's called, and we're having a taste of the Piwo Grodzisk, which is a 3.1% Grodziskie or Grätzer style beer. Now normally for this beer style you would expect a nice big bready malt base, a little bit of smoky character in there as well, and also some kind of herbal or floral aromatic hops. It's a really interesting beer style, and it's also been known as the champagne of Polish beer because of how carbonated it is. It's a top fermented and very, very light style, and this particular one is rated at 86 on Rate Beer. And like I say, the cool thing about this one is that it's actually from Grodzisk where this beer style originates. Many Polish craft beer breweries actually do their own version of this too. So this one was another recommendation to me from Pavel at Piwomaniak. Very nice beer store in Warsaw with a great selection. This was one that he recommended to me when I asked him for a traditional style of Polish beer. So make sure you check out the link to his page in his Facebook page in the description below. He's got a great selection of stuff and he's a very nice guy. If you're interested in Polish beer, definitely get in touch with him. And as I would say, if you haven't tried Polish beer before, the standard is very high, so make sure you do go and try some of them. But anyway, as is usual with my beer reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery itself. I'll also tell you a bit about the town where this beer comes from and the style too. But if you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the video description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that hopefully I can do from these guys in the near future. Very first time I'm trying one of their beers, of course. There's all the usual social media, and if you do want to see more beer reviews, just subscribe to the channel. And as always, I apologise to those of you watching in Poland for any bad Polish pronunciations in this video. As I've said, one of the most difficult languages you're going to come across in Europe, and if you're not a natural speaker, you're pretty much going to pronounce it wrong. It looks nothing like it sounds actually, so yeah, but I hope you guys can get past that and enjoy the review nonetheless. But anyway, to tell you about the beer and the town and everything itself. So Grodzisku Wielkopolski is a town of about 14,000 people in the Wielkopolski Voivodeship, which is known as Greater Poland in English, and the town itself is about 45 kilometres to the southwest of Poznan in western Poland. So the first mention of this town historically was in 1257, but it's known that there was a town charter in the year 1303, and during the 16th century the town had considerable Jewish and Yiddish populations, and in 1793 it actually became part of Prussia, which obviously was later pivotal in the foundation of the United Germany, I think in the 1860s if I remember correctly. But during this period the town was known as Great until of course it became part of a reformed Poland after the First World War in 1920. But the town of course is famed for its water source, which has a very high mineral content, and it's thought that beer brewing kind of became a big thing here because of that, and it started in the 14th century, and normally 1301 is given as a foundation date for this. But during the 16th and 17th centuries, brewing in Grodzisk thrived, and this kind of culminated in the introduction of the Grodzisk Brewing Statute of 1601, and there was also a Grodzisk Brewers Guild actually, which was massive. They had 600 members at their peak, and if you compare this to the Brewers Guild in Poznan, or Posen as it would have been known at the time, they only had 100 members, so this gives you an idea of just how kind of pivotal this very small town was. But apparently Grodzisk beer was actually seen as something of a status symbol, and it was the best known exported Polish beer. The town actually became known as the Polish beer capital, and in between the two world wars, Grodziskie beer was known to be exported to 37 different countries. However, the brewery was nationalised in 1945 when the communist regime took over in Poland. But the last batch of beer was brewed in the original brewery in 1994 due to ownership and economic problems. However, the brewery was revived after a period of about 20 years. So it's really cool to see this kind of traditional brewery from Grodzisk actually brewing the original beer styles there. Many Polish craft breweries, of course, were doing this a little bit before. like brewing this kind of traditional style of beer, but I think, as far as I know, there wasn't much activity actually going on in Grodzisk itself, because it is only a small town of about 14,000 people. But it's great to see this kind of once famous beer town starting to revive its old tradition. But as I said, just to tell you a little bit about the style itself, the Grodzisky style of beer has been nicknamed the champagne of Polish beer because of its high carbonation, and the beer itself is a top fermented low ABV beer that's brewed with malt grains smoked by burning oak logs and then drying the grains using the resulting smoke from that. So as I say, you'll get a nice big bready kind of flavour from this one, a lot of smoky character in it as well. Not quite the same as a Rauch beer, of course, but just that nice kind of subtle smoke, some herbal and kind of floral hops, and a lot of carbonation. There's usually a little bit of citrus in the flavour of these beers too, but yeah, it's very nice. I think I've tried one for you, the 4.0, Grodzisky 4.0 from Pinta is probably one of the kind of first craft examples of this beer that appeared in Poland in recent times. So just to list the other beers that you can get from these guys, there's this guy here, obviously the Piwo Grodziska. There's also a special version of this one called Piwomaniak 2015. There's the other two beers as well, the Bernardiński and the Bernardiński Ciemne, and there's also the Piwo Naturalne, and they've got two different versions of that one, the red currant and the elderberry version. So there's quite a few different beer styles from this brewery, so make sure you do check them out. So yeah, let's actually get on to the tasting of this beer itself now. So like I mentioned, this one is a 3.1% Grodzisky style beer. And I guess I'll let you have a little look at the artwork and then we can open it up. I'll just bring up the camera for you just now and let you see this. So yeah, as you can see, quite nicely presented. I do like the old kind of traditional style they've gone for on the label on this one. There you can see the bottle cap on this. On the back it tells you things, and it tells you, I think it's basically saying on the front that this is a 700-year-old tradition, and kind of telling you the sort of things I just told you in the history of the thing here. You can see here it's Warsaw, it says original Polish style, Piwo War Zone. So yeah, I'm not sure if that's to do with the thing, but you can also see the war zone thing. You can see the kind of mortar or explosive going off here with the little cloud, and it says War Zone on the bottom there. I'm not sure exactly what that's all about, so I'll try and find out more about that for the next time I review one of the beers from these guys. But without further ado then, let's get this beer open and we'll get on with the tasting here. Should be really interesting. Yeah, as you can see, quite a smoky opening on this one. We're getting a lot of carbonation from this, as you can see. But I have to admit, it's one thing that's really interesting to do during this kind of Polish beer month that I'm doing for you. It's just to learn a little bit about the history of Poland, because obviously if you go and read about it at all, you'll see Poland has had a very, very turbulent history. And you know, Polish people are extremely, extremely friendly people, genuinely friendly people, but their country has just, you know, I mean, America and Britain kind of screwed them over, Russia screwed them over, but you know, they've built their country up in a very, very cool way, and they're doing very well for themselves now. So it's really, really cool to actually go and speak to Polish people, and as I say, one of the friendliest people in Europe that you're going to come across. But anyway, let's have a look at the beer itself. So you can see this one has a nice pale golden straw colour. There's a lot of carbonation coming out of this one, but you can see the beer itself is crystal clear. It almost looks a bit like kind of cloudy apple juice actually, but you can see a solid 2-finger white head on this one, a lot of carbonation visible. No sediment at all actually, but there is a little bit of sediment left in the bottle, so we'll see if we can get the rest of that in, and then we'll do the aroma. Nah, I'm not going to be able to get all of that in. We'll maybe put the last of it in a little bit later, but you can see the beer is getting gradually more cloudy. But yeah, overall it looks really nice. So let's have a look at the aroma on this one. Yeah, so this one actually smells like a very kind of bready lager beer actually. It smells really grainy. That's the first thing you'll notice from it. You get a lot of the kind of as you would expect, the sort of grassy, slightly floral hops from this one. There is a little bit of a kind of herbal character, like I was saying, but you can really smell, you can smell the grainy, you can smell the kind of smoky character in the grains. It does have a little bit of that kind of almost meaty, but probably more peaty in this case, character from the smoke. It's really interesting. I can't really sugar it up too much just with this big head that it's got. But yeah, really interesting smelling beer. You can get a little bit of citrus too, but for me it's mainly the kind of bready, slightly yeasty characters that are dominating the aroma. The hops, of course, are coming out as well, but you've got this nice big bready malt base in there. You can smell that slightly peaty, malty character from this one too. But yeah, really, really nice smelling beer. Let's just see if we can get the last of this in without stirring it up too much. And we can try this beer finally. Yeah. There's a lot of sediment in this one. Look at how big that head's going. Yeah. There we are. So that's absolutely everything from the bottle in this beer now. And just look at the size of the head that it's got. So yeah, let's give this beer a try and see how we get on here. I'll need to suck the head off first. But yeah, let's give this beer a try and see how we get on. So just to make sure I pronounce it correctly, this one is Piwo Grodziska from Browar, the Grodzisku Wielkopolski, I believe, in Poland, in Grodzisk, Poland, where this beer style originates. Prost, na zdrowie. Skål, slange. Yeah, that is nice. I can see the kind of attraction to this style of beer actually. I've also seen this style of beer compared to the Lichtenhainer, which is a style of beer from Germany that I can't remember ever trying, so that's something I need to look into as well. But with this style of beer, it's very light as you would expect. The middle of your palate is just kind of blanketed with a nice bready malt base. You've got a nice big kind of bready, yeasty character just goes right across the middle of your tongue, and then in the middle you can feel the slightly more dry, peaty characteristics coming out in the flavour. You can see how that head is died down as well. But yeah, around the edges of the palate you're getting some nice kind of grassy, slightly floral, but also a little bit herbal hop character as well. There is an element of citrusy flavour actually coming out of this beer. If you go just behind that front curve of the tongue, you'll feel this little oily bubble, and there is a bit of just a kind of citrusy, not quite lemony character. It's a bit more grassy, kind of lemongrassy that you get out of this one because of the herbal character that's in the hops. But yeah, it's really interesting how this one goes together, because it definitely has this almost German style mouthfeel. And of course, when this beer, when of course this part of Poland was once part of Prussia, it's something that you would really kind of expect. That's another interesting aspect of Polish history, of course, too. The part of Poland that was always historically Polish is the kind of southeastern side, and the northwestern part of Ukraine is also Polish speaking too, which is quite interesting. The northern part and the kind of southwestern part of what is now Poland was German, of course. But yeah, really nice style of beer. This, as I say, nice big bready malt base. You do get an element of pale malt in here too, but on top of that, in the middle of the tongue, you get the nice smoky character. It doesn't come across as too peaty as what I was expecting. It doesn't have that kind of earthy character that normally you would expect of peaty flavours. But it does go quite nicely, and around the edge of the palate you get these herbal, kind of floral aromatic characters, and the kind of dryness from the smoky flavour builds a good bridge between that. And as you go round the front curve of the tongue, you've got a little bit of floral character, but some nice smooth grassiness there, and there's a little oily bubble on the tongue there too, which is quite nice. But yeah, this is a really interesting beer style. If you haven't tried this one yourself before, give it a go. I can feel the carbonation doing its work as well, and you can feel it on the tongue. It really helps bring out some of the herbal and more floral aspects of the flavour in this one. So give this beer a try for yourself, and as I say, it's always cool to try a beer from its original hometown. With the new kind of craft beer scene, you see a lot of these beers kind of being, how would you say, sort of like taken away and then restyled a little bit, but it's always cool to go back to the roots of where these styles come from, of course. But this is a nice beer. I mean, in terms of flavour and things, it's not something that's going to blow your mind. It's a more traditional and kind of lightly, sort of light, sessionable beer, and that's how beer always was back in the day, I guess. But it's really quite nicely done, so give it a try and see what you think for yourself. But in terms of the mouthfeel of this beer, I would say quite light-bodied, not even pushing the mid-bodied category at all. There's a lot of carbonation in this one. It's really quite crisp actually, and that's what keeps the body on this beer quite light. Like I said, there's a good little bit of malty character in this one. There's a big bready and almost slightly yeasty character in the middle of the palate too, and that really doesn't give the beer much body either though, which is quite surprising. But the smoky character has a little bit of dryness to it. As I say, there's the floral and herbal aspects of the hops too, which gives the beer a quite dry mouthfeel around the edge of the palate too. And overall, I would say the mouthfeel of this beer really does lean towards being a little bit dry. And you can feel that in the aftertaste of the beer too. Absolutely no alcohol warmth, but at 3.1%, you know, you wouldn't expect that at all. But yeah, overall, it's quite an interesting beer. Like I say, it's always cool to go back to the roots of some of these styles, and especially to go to the hometown of the beer style too. So yeah, in terms of this beer, I would say if you like lagers and you like kind of craft style pils beers, or sort of smoked pils as well, is becoming a bigger thing, you probably will enjoy this one. Be prepared though, it's got quite a bit of carbonation in it, so just bear that in mind if you try it for yourself. But like I say, the novelty thing with this beer, while it won't blow your mind when it comes to the flavour, the fact is it's a novelty beer because it comes from the hometown of the Grodzisku style, which is a very traditional Polish style of beer. So yeah, go and check this one out for yourself and let me know what you think in the comment section below. But once again, I thank you for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Go and check out my social media, but most importantly, go and try some Polish beers and try some of these beers from Grodziska as well. As I say, it used to be one of the kind of major brewing hubs of Europe actually, I would guess. It's in Poland now, but it has quite a bit of German influence, I guess, in the town too. So make sure you go and check out some of these Grodzisky style beers from Poland. Until next time, na zdrowie, skål just now, and I will catch you soon with my next beer review. Cheers.